We'll open it, so about 7:15, yeah, about 7:15, we'll start public comment. First on the list was James Tenossi.
So I have some questions for the board. We've been coming here about 6 months. We haven't been able to get a lot of answers to questions. I think this is a very straightforward and easy question. I say this for the people who may have not made the meetings in the past or were not here, and for board members that may not have been here last meeting. I know there's a few. A very simple question. And I ask this to the board members that are seated down here in the lower area. Is it okay for a county official, be it elected or appointed, to lie to the general public and the taxpayer?
Of course not.
I don't think anybody's lying.
What? I said, is it okay?
Of course not.
Okay,
Next question.
that's exactly what we have going on here. And I have documentation, thank God for the Freedom of Information Act, that our local government has lied to us and is trying to hoodwink the public. I have it. I don't have a lot of time, I realize that, so I'm going to keep this short. Last meeting, it was stated that Mr. Bob Becker was an employee of the Supervisor of Assessment Office. Do you all agree with that? I want to know, do you agree with that? That's what was stated. It's on video. He is an employee of your office, and you stand by that answer. Mr. Chairman, is he an employee of the office or is he hired by the board? Simple yes or no.
So what do I say? Say for sure.
His employment situation is determined by the assessor.
That's not what I asked. I asked, is he an employee of this county? Yes or no? Is he hired by the board?
No.
Is he an employee? He's not hired by the board.
Let's whisper it a little bit.
Either he's hired by the board or he'd be hired by the supervisor of assessment. It's pretty easy.
We spell busted.
I thought we told you before the board can.
I know what you told me, but via FOIA request, the answer we got was not lining up with the information I have here, which I'm very willing to present in full detail tonight. So I need to know, this is your chance to come clean.
The board does not have the power to hire him.
The board
He's
does
hired
not
by the
have the power to
assessor.
hire him, it's hired by the assessor. That's the official record then. So the evidence should show that.
I don't
Well,
see the evidence.
let me show you what I got. Let me show you what I got. Okay? First of all, I got Mr. Becker's bid that he submitted to the county board. It is dated 3/30/2015. It says here, county board, it's addressed to the county board. Please consider this bid for the reassessment of commercial and industrial properties located in both counties. In determining the scope of the assignment, I met with Mr. Kelly Lockhart and Ms. Karen Childress. I submit this bid contingent upon certain things that he lists in here. I didn't know employees submitted bids. I thought they filled out employment applications. So when I FOIA requested a copy of our group, his employment application, there was none. And I have an email stating from Ms. Biddle also that I can read that he doesn't have one, it doesn't exist. So what is the procedure in hiring an employee of the county? Do they have to fill out any paperwork at all? And if so, I would like to get that.
I don't require a job application.
You don't require job application? Does the county code require it?
The assessor's office is an independent office,
I know they are.
and the county board does not have the authority to dictate how they hire, who they hire. They can dictate budget and salary. So the assessor's office, just like the elected offices, creates their own rules and regulations with regard to that.
So you just said the county board doesn't have the authority to hire Mr. Becker, correct? Did I hear that right?
The county board has the ability to fund Mr. Becker's employment by the assessor's
I
office.
understand
but the
that. That wasn't my
assessor-
question.
Well, let me finish. But the assessor is the one that chooses who does what employment arrangements for.
Okay?
Take away the shovel.
Well, there's a problem because I have invoices from Mr. Becker here to the county board. I can show them to you if you'd like to see them. From Mr. Bob Becker, you'll have to excuse my pile of 6 months of FOIA requests. They are addressed to Coles County Board. This one in particular is the 5th quarterly payment for 16 of 16 commercial reassessments. What employee submits bids to the county board if they're hired through the supervisor of assessment's office?
They come to me and they're submitted with my claims along with that.
Okay? They were not submitted to you. They said this, according to the paperwork, it says to county board. Also, employees have W-2s. Can you produce a W-2 for Mr. Becker?
I can't produce that.
No, because he has a 1099. 1099 is an independent contractor. I'm an employer. I know what a 1099 is. It says right here, non-employee compensation, $28,750. I have a W-9 from Mr. Becker. Okay? Stuff's not adding up here. I have lots of emails too that I'd be willing to share with you that show that he is not a county employee, that he was hired by the board as an independent contractor.
What was the date of that last paper?
Of which last page?
That one you're talking about, the county board?
You need
The
the
invoice?
bids?
Yes.
Or the invoice?
The
The invoices?
Invoices.
I've got several invoices. I've got one dated January 11th, 2016. I've got another one dated March 31st, 2016. I have another one dated September 19th, 2016. Another one dated December 16th, 2016. And another one dated this year, January 29th, 2017. Now what I'm saying is, I think our elected officials should be honest with us, and we shouldn't have to FOIA request everything. We've been coming here and asking for information. A lot of the information we didn't get, so we had to FOIA request. This is the beauty of FOIA requesting, you find a lot of things out. I'm telling you, the board does not have the legal authority to hire Mr. Becker, but you hired him anyway. I've got the statutes right here. I have all of them. I can read all of them.
So there's no dispute that the county
But the
board,
county board hired him anyway, and he's submitting invoices to you and you're paying them. He's not an employee, he has a 1099. So I'm saying this more for these people here, because you all lied to us last meeting, okay? I'm telling you right now, come clean, start over, do this whole thing right. That's what we're asking for. Do it right. And if you guys want to cover for the people who are lying, go ahead, because we're going to court. And you want to be drugged through this, that's fine with me. But I'm telling you right now, we have a solid case that things haven't been done right. All we're asking for is to follow the rule of law. That's it. No more, no less. We're not asking for anything else. Follow the rule of law. Do what's right. Don't lie to us. Answer our questions. And do this whole assessment thing the right way.
So your end game is just...
My end game is follow the rule of law.
Let me finish. The end game is to revert it back to 2015, right? That's the end game. That's what you're asking for. To do it the right way. You're not arguing the assessment values per se. We're past that. Now you're just arguing...
No. I'm not addressing the assessment, guys. That's another
You can do
issue.
what you want to do. Do it all.
That's
Go through the
another
board
issue.
review. Hold on. Go through the board review, go to the state, do all that. I'm all for you. Fight it. But that's not what he's talking about.
No, he's not.
Well, I'm
talking about
speaking for
talking to
myself.
you.
I'm not speaking for this guy back here. I'm speaking for me.
Yeah,
I'm just telling
you're the
you.
ones that said something just now.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, but you asked me a question about my
Right, I'm
end
saying,
game.
what you're
I'm
doing.
telling you right now, if you did it the right way and the end game was the right way, you would revert to back to 2015. The reason you would do it because you have no basis to hire somebody illegally. So
Okay.
you'd have to roll back. I think that's, I don't know, I'm not a tax lawyer, I don't know
I'm
that.
not either.
But I'm just
I don't
telling
think
you right
anybody
now,
here is a
the
lawyer.
end game is if we would have followed the rule of law and the first time we came to a meeting, we would have got honest answers and we didn't have to go through 6 months of this and waste 6 months of our lives trying to come up with a FOIA request and double check what you're saying, whether it's true or not, we wouldn't be in this situation. This could have been avoided. It could have been totally avoided if everybody just would have worked together from day one, it would have been done right. Yes, I have other grievances, but I know in the time limit, it'd take me 5 hours to go over a grievance I have, okay?
Right.
So when I say follow the rule of law, I mean in everything. Not just in what I said, in everything, even anything that these gentlemen are.
Okay, so if we agree with what you said just now, this county board cannot, and the way I understand it, that the assessment is the one who makes that decision, not us,
Make
to
one-
roll it forward. You can say no.
I'm not talking about rolling forward. Let's hold on, stop.
But we.
My issue right now is following the rule of law
Right, I totally
and
understand.
concerning the hiring of Mr. Becker. Which
Right.
I want to state for the record too, I have nothing personal against Mr. Becker whatsoever. He was hired to do a job. I kind of feel sorry for him, to be honest with you. He's in a real compromised position. And unfortunately, I feel bad for him.
But what I'm saying though, if I said I agree with you and let's roll it back, there's nothing I can do as one person or two people or five people. If I'm correct, right?
Majority could.
Correct, but wait a
That's
minute.
not what we're, that's not what
Mr.
we're.
Sanders, let me just say this much. You didn't have to roll the taxes when you did. There was a rush to do it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You know you didn't. There was a way out.
What was our?
How
way out?
many, raise your hand, how many board members came to me and said if there was a legal way to do this
Right.
and go back and do it right, you would do it? You said it to my face.
I said it.
I know you did.
I said
And I know
it.
you did.
And as soon as we,
Send it to you.
Ryan said it, you said it, Travis said it,
And as soon
Mr.
as,
Metzger
as soon
said
as
it.
we thought we had that, what? As
Go
soon as we
ahead.
thought we had that, then we're told that we cannot, we don't have the power to decide.
Who told you that?
Our
legal counsel.
Our legal counsel. told us
Okay,
that.
I've got a phone text between you and the Department of Revenue that we
Not-
can
no, wait a
produce.
second, it wasn't no phone text, it was an email.
Okay, an
I don't
email that
text
was on,
her.
that was a screenshot off the phone.
Right, right.
I'm sorry. And I'm a little technical
If
challenge.
I'm texting.
But I'm just telling you, we went to the Department of Revenue, this whole thing could have been rolled back. Part of the problem here is, we don't have a dispute that you could divide the county into quadrants, that was never a dispute.
Well, yeah. well,
No, wait a minute, don't talk for me, let me explain my position.
I talked to you, I mean, the four
No,
quadrants
it
were
was,
the
the
issue, I
quadrants,
wasn't against
the
that.
quadrants were not the issue, let me clarify. What the issue was, once you divided in quadrants, you should have assessed all four quadrants and then rolled the taxes,
Sure.
and then every 4 years, everybody would get reassessed. Instead, you picked Mattoon Township, and because you did that, and their assessments hadn't been done in 16 years, of no fault of us, the taxpayers,
Correct.
now what you've done is you violated the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution. We told you that. We tried to tell you, you can't do that. You even said in your letter that you guys wrote to our state senator and our state rep, Mr. Phillips and Mr. Ryder, that the Illinois Department of Revenue says in their book, and I read the book, that you can't have that. You can't do that. You can't have inequity in the taxation.
Oh.
So you've got people in Mattoon Township that are going to pay more than people in Lafayette Township for the same school district. How's that fair?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
But getting back to the quadrants, if you would have just divided the quadrants, reassessed the whole county the way you should have done it, instead of picking on Mattoon Township. So now we're in this pickle, and you had a chance to roll it back, and you didn't. Mr. Metzger, you didn't. You had a chance to do it, you
But that's
didn't.
what I'm saying.
And
We're-
so now-
We were told at that time, when we
You-
thought we had it, that we couldn't do it.
That's the problem, though. What
I
you're
mean,
told is maybe the wrong information.
a
I'm not an
potential
attorney.
solution, we discussed that.
We discussed all those things.
We were actually, we thought, great.
You're breaking federal law now. You're breaking federal law.
Yes, you're breaking federal law. You're violating the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. You can't do it.
Okay, and that's what you, and I understand that, and two lawyers look at the same sentence and they both get something different.
I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not either. That's-
The Illinois Department of Revenue says that it's against their rules. So you even admitted it in the letter to Senator Ryder and into,
Me? I didn't
the
know
letter
that.
that the board crafted. Mr. Chairman, you know the letter I'm talking about. I can produce it if you
We
like.
asked them to review it, yes.
But you also said in there, you explicitly stated in the letter that the Illinois Department of Revenue, in their publication, says that you can't not do that. It's in the
Right after
letter.
they tell us we can. That's-
No, they told you you could divide into districts. They didn't tell you you could have inequity in the tax application. You're wrong there. And that's why we're going to federal court.
And Roy Tech.
Mine is a little bit different from Mr. Donasso's. I'm still harping back on, I'm a little bit confused on Mr. Becker. I thought that, and maybe I'm wrong, that you had to be completely vetted and completely done with all of your training before you could do an assessment before you were an attorney, or before you could do any of that stuff. And my understanding is that Mr. Becker had not completed his training before he was hired by, I believe, Mrs. Biddle, you,
Yes.
last year. So,
He has had all of his training
When?
and is licensed as a commercial appraiser.
when did that?
All of
That
that, I
was-
don't know. That is outside the county. The,
It was not done when he started. Correct, exactly. So my whole thing is that I'm certainly not the brainiac in the room. But even I know that if Joe Blow moved here from southern Illinois, from wherever, and said, oh, I'm gonna hang my shingle out, and I'm gonna do all these cases, and all of a sudden, someone starts investigating me, and bang, I don't even have a law degree. Something tells me that all those cases would be thrown out, because I didn't have the degree I said I did. And what?
He had his commercial appraiser's license, he didn't have what,
Exactly.
he didn't have.
He didn't have
come on.
that.
He had his commercial appraiser's license, so you're saying he didn't have an
We're not
appraiser, he had his
arguing that.
commercial,
He
We're not
didn't-
arguing that.
well, that's what she's saying.
No, she's not. What she's saying is
I
he
want to
didn't
just
finalize.
clarify,
that's
I'm just
what she's
clarifying.
saying.
He didn't finalize coursework that he
He didn't
said he
finalize
was
I'm
doing.
not, I'm not disagreeing with that, I
That's
just
the
want to
one
make sure,
I'm
he did have a
talking about.
commercial real estate,
That's
he did
the
have
one
the
I'm
classes that
talking
he
about.
said in his bid proposal, whatever you want to call it, right. I just want to clarify.
I'm just confused by that, and I was also under the impression, I'm probably wrong, that he was using a computer program.
yes,
Is that
it's
correct?
our CAMA system, computer assisted mass appraisal, and it's built into our software.
Is it the county software?
The software in my office is used for valuing real estate.
So did the county buy that software?
Yes, well, we're licensed to use it, yes.
So the county bought that software,
We pay a fee to use it every year.
but he didn't buy it. So he's not paying a fee.
It's used by our office.
Pardon me?
It's used by our office, and he works in our office when he's using that.
Okay. Do you know how that software works?
And you have to enter all of the property attributes, sketch the property. It prices from tables that are built into the CAMA software.
May I ask a question?
Well,
It's kind of
Mr.
about the
Wojtek, are you-
software.
are you-
Well, it's kind of about software.
I'm
Just a minute.
confused by, if he didn't finish the course that he was supposed to finish for that, I don't understand how any of his, what he had already done in 2016 could be correct or valued at all. That's what I don't understand. Why would it not just be thrown out? I don't get that at all. And I also feel like the past several months, I feel like I'm 14 again, going to my mom and dad, and they're just gonna sit there and, okay, you can talk. We're not gonna tell you why. We're just telling you, no, you can't go out, or we'll talk about it, and that always means, no, you can't go out, you can't do that, you can't do that. Because I don't feel like we've gotten answers. Or I'm talking to our priest, and no, that's just the way it is, we've added in two, and it's still no. So I don't feel very good about it, for anybody.
Mr. Wojtek, anything?
I'd like to yield my time to James again, he did a fine job. You think? I yield my time to Rob.
Well, Rex was next on the list. Rex Dugan was
Rex.
next on the list, so.
Rex, you're up, buddy.
I don't have a lot, but the one thing I wanted to ask was, does the county actually have a code of conduct or ethics type thing out there, policy?
Yes.
Wes, yes?
Yes.
Where's it found?
It's available on the website or the handbook.
Eh,
know where it's on the website, it's in the handbook.
I have a handbook. We have a handbook that I.
You have a handbook, so
That's the public.
I actually just want to bring up the topic that James brought up earlier, was that, you know, the last board meeting, you know, whenever we had Mr. Metzger, Mr. Bauer, and Mrs. Biddle state that Mr. Becker was a seasonal part-time employee. And we actually have facts to prove that he is not. So do you, those of you sitting in the chairs, agree with what they're doing? I would like to ask each and every one of you to say yes or no. Ma'am?
Agree to what? What's your exact
What are
question?
Is it okay for the people, Mr. Metzger, Mr. Bauer, Mrs. Biddle, to lie to the public?
I don't know that they are lying.
What proof do we need to show you?
I think you are splitting hairs over a vocabulary word of employment.
There's a
No,
difference.
we got it on video from last meeting, there's no split.
They
hairs.
admitted he was a seasonal part-time employee.
But you didn't see his budget.
No.
So that's not the same thing as a full-time employee.
He's got a 1099 I just showed you, non-employee compensation. What more do you need?
If,
Are you an employer? Do you employ
At
people?
1099.
You know the difference between a
would give
W-2
him-
and a 1099?
It would be, he's a contracted employee, from my
as
understanding.
I indicated last meeting to, I think, Mr. Allen, when he asked, I believe he asked about the 1099 or someone else did, I indicated factors of employment or independent contractor basis. One is a 1099 as evidence of independent contractor. Others are direction and control by the person, which would be Ms. Biddle. One is working at the location. One is whose tools are being used. It is a question of fact. There's no question that Mr. Becker is an agent of the County of Polk. An employee or independent contractor, both are agents, but an employee or independent contractor ultimately is a question of fact. It is not a bright line test.
You're employed by the county, do you submit
No,
a
I'm
bid?
I'm
You're not
employed by the
employed?
state.
Oh, the
I'm
state,
a
okay.
constitutional-
Who here is employed by the county? Raise your hand. How many times do you, Ms. Biddle, do you submit bids to the county board to get paid every week or month or bi-monthly or whenever it is?
Invoices.
You invoice the county?
Oh, to get paid?
Yes.
Every department submits a payroll request.
I'm not, I said, that's not what I asked. I'm not asking a payroll request. You're obviously not an employer, so, I'm telling you right now, you guys know he's a contractor. You even, Mr. Metzger even slipped of the lip at the end of the last meeting, said that's why we contracted him for 4 years. He said it, it's on tape. Go back and look at it. Coles County Board meeting on YouTube. I think it's video number 3.
Charles Stodden.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to say something. I think it's good that we have a nice discussion like this from time to time. I know it's a little bit, on my side here, some of my friends have gotten a little rowdy. And I cautioned them, I said, you know, we all got to live together and we need to respect those that are ruling over us. I would like to say that we went to Springfield and they showed the copies that all of these assessments were certified all the way up through the years. So I have a question in my mind, if they were certified, and I think that was up to 2015 or 16, wasn't it? 2015.
Every year stamped and certified by this county.
Why are they wrong if they're certified?
Values were correct every year.
Certified,
You know, every year you
certified
send,
that they were correct.
you
Yeah,
certify,
they certified them that they was correct, that's right.
you
That's how it
certify
was.
those taxes every year when they're sent in to the Department of Revenue. They're stamped. And there's an oath that's taken that those taxes are true and correct. Am I right or am I wrong? So if you did that for the 16 years that you said no assessments happened, what are you saying about the taxes in when you stamp by oath, by your word, that they're certified and they're correct and true to the best of your knowledge? You're saying that the taxes are okay. Are you not? So let's stop the jingo about these taxes haven't been reassessed for 16 years. Because you in your own mind, and everybody else that signed the paperwork, just the Department of Revenue, stamped it and certified with an oath that they're right. And that's what he's talking about. Point taken?
It hasn't been reassessed for 16 years.
Certified each and every year.
You've already said that they are. Hold it, Corey. Every year you said they're okay.
Wait, okay. I understand that. It's certified every year because that's the number she has. But for 16 years, the counties didn't do their job. And I'm not for any more tax. I get it. I know
You're
where
saying
you're coming
they're
from.
okay.
Wait,
Hold it, Corey. Yeah, you stand it.
You want us to
Mr. Sanders is speaking, that'll be your turn.
You said the counties or the counties?
The township, okay, county boards. We weren't there. I wasn't there 16 years ago.
No, I wasn't either.
I was 12 years old. Just close. I wasn't there. I get it. I understand to hit somebody in 1 year. That's why at the beginning, if you were here, I tried to get it reverted back, I tried to wait and not hit everybody all at one time, we tried to split it up over, all these things we were told we couldn't do. Right or wrong, I'm not an attorney, that's what they told us we couldn't do. It hasn't been done, just because we stamped something, because that's the only value she had at the time, doesn't mean we don't go reassess things. That means if I buy a property today for $30,000 in foreclosure, and I fix it up and now it's worth $100,000, I shouldn't get taxed on $100,000 because she stamped something for the last 3 years? That don't even make sense. No, wait, let me finish.
I
So,
get your point, you get mine.
I get your point, but we can't fix what was done the last 16 years. There's nobody on this county board that is trying to screw anybody, we all work here, we live here, I have businesses here. I get it. I had one go up $250,000. I understand. But the point is, it has to get right. So now, stay on task. Mr. Donato, I agree with what you're saying on hitting one over the other. Maybe that's right. I don't know, but we're being told that we can't do anything beyond what we're doing. So you can be mad.
Mr. Stodden, you have the floor.
Okay, well, I'd just like to remind us, here's a little bit of theology here. I come to know these things over the years. The mediator between man and God is who? Who can tell me?
Jesus.
That's correct. Who said that? Right.
It's the one thing we all agree on, right?
Okay. The mediator between man and man is what?
Wife.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna hash this out in a court of law shortly, and I just want you to know that I consider you friends. I just said.
Thank you, Mr. Stodden. Mike Roytek,
I'd like to give my time to either Rob or James.
John Kraft,
Good evening. I appreciate the dialogue back and forth. We don't usually see this when we go to public bodies. But I want to hit on the contract or the employee part. There's two things that you guys need to be aware of, and you could stop that at the next meeting by putting it on the agenda. You can stop the whole ball from rolling and pull it right back. You have no authority, she has no authority, the assessor, to contract for assessments to do her job. Spell that in statute. That's why everybody's saying he's not a contractor. That authority does not exist. You've said it tonight several times that the county board does not have authority to hire an employee for her. It's her job. I would say, look at the county code. The county has to advise and consent to any employee that the supervisor of assessment hires. That's a duty of the county.
Revenue code.
Without that advice and consent, that person can't work for the supervisor of assessments. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? The county board provided no advice and consent for him to be an employee or a deputy of the supervisor of assessments. Any advice and consent would have had to have been an action, and it had to have been in a meeting. There never was one. And along with that advice and consent, the county board has to set that person's salary, whoever she employs, whether it be Mr. Becker or me. I'm sure nobody will hire me right now, but the point is, that's three things: advise, consent, set the salary. That's the county board's job. So you do have power over who she hires, aside from her budget. You can refuse to get consent from the outset. Say, no, I don't want you hired, Mr. Kraft. So read the county's code, please, or the revenue code. She can't hire a contractor. The county board has to advise, consent to, and set the salary for her employee. None of that was done. You can simply put that on the next agenda. That, hey, nothing was hired properly, get rid of all of the assessments. He was never legally an employee or a contractor or an agent of the county. Thank you.
Rob Perry.
There again,
Excuse me, Rob Perry, sorry.
pardon me?
Rob Perry, I called you Rob.
There's another reason, there's another technicality he just gave you.
That's not a technicality. That's not.
It is law though, right?
Yeah.
Law. So you can do the lawful thing. How about that? Okay? I've been coming since January here. And I've said some things I'm probably sorry for. And I'm kind of like Charlie. There's people in this room I do really like, and some of them I don't know well enough to say that I like them, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay? A couple of things. In January when we started, this all starts out wrong. I'm going to paint the picture for you as quick as I can and make it sensible for just a normal person to understand. First thing that happens in the end of November, I get this thing in the mail. And I'm a little bit more versed on seeing notice from the tax assessor's office because I've been involved for a few years on the board of review level. So I understood. But most of the people that you sent these notices to, and Karen, I'm not trying to pick on you, but a lot of people don't even know what those notices mean when they come in the mail because they're not self-explanatory. There's too many numbers on them, and there's nothing there that says, if you don't understand, call the courthouse and talk to the tax assessor. It's not there. It's not there. And there wasn't anything in the paper. You didn't put anything out to where saying, people, you're going to get notices, and when you get the notices, if you don't understand, we'd advise you to call over to the tax assessor's office. You didn't do that.
Mr. Perry, on day one, when we started this,
Hold it. I've got the floor. You hush. Please. All I'm trying to say is it would have been nice if the folks would have been a little bit more warned of what was coming, especially in the December part of the Christmas time and all the things. It wasn't a good time to do it. So most people didn't do anything. So after January comes February, or December, I'm ahead of myself. December meeting, I came to that. And then we formulated a group and went to the Department of Revenue in January. And we were on a mission to try to find out just exactly what's going on, because what came out of the meeting was we had this statute that we had to hurdle, either get over the hurdle and understand, because the county board kept saying, we can't do anything, there's this statute, and that's the way it is. We all pile in the car, go to the Department of Revenue. I remember the day, the guys are here with me, got there, went into the meeting, asked them about this statute. And I said, they're telling us at the county board level that they can't do anything because you, the Department of Revenue, says this statute's got to be reinforced. And there's nothing they can do. The woman at the Department of Revenue just rolled her eyes and says, no, that's a county problem. You'll have to take that up with the county. This is the lady that runs the Department of Revenue. Okay? I'm not making this up. I'm telling you just exactly what we were told. So we come back and we start doing all of our discovery. And let me tell you folks, I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to take anybody down, but there's so many holes in the statutes that have been broken, bent, changed. There's nothing at all that looks good, because it looks like you break one, and then in order to stop that one, you break another one, and you just keep breaking them. We've got it all in paper. It's here. The statutes have been broken. So in February, we're doing all this discovery. I'm looking at things and going, God, is this because they don't know any different? Or is it just because they're just doing it their way? So you've lost my trust and faith in what you all do. Not because maybe you didn't do it on purpose, but it's not right. And what we're here complaining about is if you're going to do things, do it in a format that's fair and equitable for everybody. Because we know we pay taxes. We've been paying them for years. And we'll continue to pay them. So anyway, we go on through and we find out that Mr. Becker's fired. And I'm not mad at Bob. Bob's another guy just trying to make a buck. I get it. Okay? But his numbers are not good. And I'm going to stop for a moment and show you something. I have in my possession the list that you all on the county board got when this all started. It's every piece of property in Mattoon Township. It's here for the liking. And I gotta ask you something. I'm looking at this list, and there's over 700 parcels here, 700. And I go down here, and it's all real good because it's Bob's worksheet. This is where we start, okay? When I look down here, these numbers bounce from anywhere from 140 to 383 to 211% to 265, 143, 215%. All I'm trying to tell you is, wasn't anybody awake on the county board to say, why are those numbers everywhere? Shouldn't they be a little bit closer? This is not even manageable. You had this list. It was yours. Why weren't you asking questions about it before it turned into a tax bill? Where were you?
There's no way of knowing
You didn't look at this list.
individually who has
Sure.
done what to what property.
It's all here. Yeah, it's got it all down here. It's got a description and a name, and the old value and the new value and the tax bill number.
And I
Tells you-
have no idea who has updated.
Oh, you
what
don't know
buildings,
Summers
what
Nissan
properties.
Building? You wouldn't know where that's at over in Mattoon?
I'm sorry, what?
Summers Nissan Building, you wouldn't know where to find that? You wouldn't be able to find Casey Summers Nissan lot?
I don't know what they've done for updates and
You had this. You had
but what
this.
value have they added to their properties since? it
Well,
was
I'm
assessed?
asking you, the values are way all over the board. There's variations so much that it doesn't even make good sense. Here's the worst part. When we get these values and find out that he's not qualified because he's not done the work and he admits it in the letter that he's not ready to do mass appraisal, which is what this is, we find out that the numbers are everywhere, and when the appraisals come in, they don't even come close to what they are. So here's the problem. You can sit here and tell me, oh, go get an appraisal and go through the steps. But why don't you start using numbers that are correct to begin with? These are fake numbers. They're nowhere close to where they need to be. And you wonder why I get upset? I've been 6 months over here listening to you do nothing. You haven't done anything. These people pay the taxes. They're willing to pay the taxes. What I'm asking you is, why are you turning a deaf ear and turning a blind eye to things that are wrong when you had them in your possession? What's going on? This is not little bitty dollars. This is lots of money.
People's livelihood, and no one's against paying taxes like Rob said, but I want to say this much. You're not looking out, you're not elected by the taxing bodies, you're elected by the taxpayers. So it's in your best interest to look out for our interests. All we want is transparency, all we want is honesty, and do the right thing. Why can't we, if like Mr. Kraft said, if there's a way to roll us back, why not start over? We're pleading with you. We don't want to go to court, but that's where this whole thing's heading. We don't want this. It's a small community. Why can't we just start over, do it the right way, hire the right person, do it the right way? And you're not going to have angry taxpayers because you know what? You're asking us to pay for the mistakes that you're making.
Mr. Sanders?
Okay, a couple things. I didn't see that list until it was already published, I believe, and already in it. I agree, I would like to look at that list.
Why? Why didn't you see that list?
I don't know why I didn't see it. I'm not.
Well, it was sent to the county board. It says so.
And the one that I had.
Because, Corey, it comes from the assessment office, and that eliminates political control over the assessment.
Okay, there's the answer. I don't look at it either.
So none of you county board members even looked at any of the assessments or
We're not
understood
allowed
what
to
was
look
going
at
on.
it. We are to be separate from the assessor's office.
If that's the case,
If that's the case, then what you need to do is hire someone who knows mass appraisal and do it the right way and make it fair and equitable, and not just try to do it your own way.
And
Follow the rule of law, do it the right way, and then you won't see us. We won't have a leg to stand on.
If some of these same numbers were to pop up, just saying, that if we went back and redid this, and some of these numbers came back,
Then that's
the
the
exact
way it
same
is.
numbers,
Then that's the way it
It's been
is.
16 years.
you would say
Something's
that,
gotta
there
go
would be,
like that.
there would be no argument.
Here's what
And
I'm saying.
I'm only asking, because we're not assessors, we don't go out and do that.
Here's the fairest way to do that. The fairest way is a mass appraisal.
I understand, sir.
And that means everything is on a level playing field.
No, and I totally understand, but this, Mr. Becker, unfortunately, like you said, tough spot. He
Yes,
took the
yes.
job. I
Unqualified.
talked to another appraiser. I just asked him, I go, could those numbers have popped up the exact same? If he would have done this, he said, absolutely.
He's wrong.
So-
And I'll show you, I have the appraisal.
So, okay.
I've
that's-
got appraisals to say that's not so.
on your property.
Every number is, with
I'm not
every
saying
number is
every
wrong,
number.
everything
Okay.
that jumped that high
I'm
is
not
wrong.
saying every number.
Why is this
Okay.
board afraid? Why is
No,
the
no, I'm not-
government afraid just to do the right thing and hire a mass appraisal, do a mass appraisal with a qualified someone who's got experience doing this in other counties? We have nothing against Mr. Becker, but his own bid agreement, he agrees he's never done
I'm
it
saying,
before.
but some of these
But
numbers
I'm
could,
saying,
some
what
of
is
these
your
numbers could.
reluctance?
Mr.
If it's
Donato,
their
we are
garden,
told we cannot do anything. Understand
We
that.
gotta go down that road again. Mr. Kraft just gave you,
Okay, Mr.
And I-
Kraft, so what should I do?
What
then?
statute
You
would
tell me
we
what
go
I do.
to find out if we can actually roll this back? I mean, we have been told by our legal counsel that we can't do anything.
We're not
If you guys
attorneys.
are aware of where to find it, let us know.
You have
And
the
we will
print
look
wrong. We gave it to you to begin with.
I know, we
That's
found that
all
also.
wrong. It's all
And we
technical.
wanted to cancel it. There were several of us on this board that were looking for a loophole. I admitted it to Mr. Donato. Several of us did. But what we were told was we cannot do anything as assessor. Now, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm telling you what our legal counsel is telling
So
us.
we're being told.
John,
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
First of all, and I mean no disrespect, Mr. Bauer, but he's your advisor, he can't tell you how to vote.
I have never told them how to.
I know that, I'm
No,
just
no.
reminding
Right.
these guys, because they keep
Okay,
coming back.
okay, but,
They keep on, and I wasn't saying you were telling them how to vote.
okay, but I'm not an attorney.
I'm just saying, the legal advisor, you guys do the voting, and I never said you told them how to vote, just to be clear.
But has there been one vote that
You
for us to
guys
vote
can
for
put
this
it on
back?
the agenda and have an up or down vote. He wasn't hired properly, they can't be contracted, he wasn't hired as an employee properly. Anything he did is null and void, just like if somebody hired Bob off the street to be a deputy and he wasn't qualified and didn't go through the school and he wasn't hired by the sheriff and he arrested 20 people, you're not going to prosecute the 20 people he arrested because he wasn't really a sheriff's department employee. The same can happen here.
Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Chairman. As a constitutional republic, we're governed by laws put in place by our founding fathers and our elected officials. Where does the public turn when public officials ignore the law? I'm going to change things up here a little bit. Coles County ETSB 911. Reporting reflects $8,379 spent on legal services between 2013 and 2015. By law, your state's attorney is your legal counsel for ETSB. They're not allowed to hire any outside attorneys. Any idea if those legal fees were for attorneys? I'd ask that you look into that
What
because
time period did you say that was?
this was 2013 to 2015, the most recent ICC reporting. They reflected a total of $8,379 on legal fees. That's 911 money that is not permitted to be spent on legal fees because by law, you're the representative for the 911. And I can get you the AG's opinion on that in the case law. The same ETSB reflects $1,602,270 in cash reserves. That's a 3-year average growth annually of $319,249. I challenge this board and the state's attorney to provide any statutory authority for your ETSB to bill for emergency services, emergency dispatch. I find no language in the law that permits the billing nor those agencies to expend money to be billed for dispatch on emergency calls. Growing reserves, 1.6 million, and questionable spending points to a lack of oversight. Mr. Bauer, I informed you and this board of missing weapons over 2 months ago. I noticed you mentioned that in your report tonight. To date, not one person has asked me a question for the evidence I have in that regard. I've spoke with CMS. I've got my FOIA from there. I'll be happy to share. They don't reflect that things have been returned last time I checked with them. So unless they've been returned in a timeline I'm not going to disclose, it'll be interesting to see where that ends up. I raised the issue of illegal gun sales by your former sheriff several years ago. The focus of the state's attorney was to ensure all police agencies cease the illegal practice. It was one thing to ignore the illegal sale of those guns, but quite another to ignore the total disregard for the court orders to destroy those guns. Do court orders matter? Anybody believe they don't matter? Well, your former sheriff violated a whole bunch of, never mind the fact he was selling guns illegally, but the courts gave him instructions and those weren't followed. In regards to your assessment issue, I think everybody's covered that pretty well. I'll be real brief on it. You've been given advice by your attorney. In this same meeting, your attorney said that you guys have no control. Revenue code gives you control. So the advice you're getting, I live and die on a daily basis with, says who with what proof. I say it all the time. People tell me things and I challenge it for my own well-being, because all too often I'm told things and nobody validates it. So when you get told something, ask for case law, statutes to support it. The county took the position Mr. Becker was an employee of the supervisor of assessments after we exposed that statute does not allow the supervisor to contract with someone to do her job. Now the position is she hired them. I would argue that she hired them outside the authority of the revenue code because this board has the oversight authority, therefore she's committed official misconduct. Can anyone explain why this claimed employee is submitting invoices? Employees do not submit invoices to get paid, especially when they're marked "thanks for your business." Why a 1099 citing non-employee compensation instead of a W-2? I understand the arguments, but they don't hold water. Mr. Chairman, you confirmed the county does not have a contract with Mr. Becker. And I thank you for that. You made that clear at the last meeting. I think that's been clear at this meeting. That being the case, we demand action be taken to recover all payments on invoices falsely presented to this county and paid with taxpayer funds. If you're not familiar with false claims, you might want to brush up on it, as invoices submitted without a valid contract for those services are in fact false claims. If you truly want these people to believe they are being represented properly, you have to start following the law as well as enforce the law. Thank you.
Jeff Hudson?
Pretty much everything has been covered that I wanted to say, except for someone on the board referred to, or just take your appraisal or your new assessment to the review board and hash it out with them. Well, that takes thousands of dollars for more than one or two people to do that. The review board, in my experience, has been very unfair. They do not accept a professional appraiser that's been in business for multi-years on commercial property. They do not give that person credit at all. They try to compromise and negotiate a different price than the fair market value. None of us here are paying taxes. We all want to pay taxes on the fair market value of a property. But it's unfair if any mass appraiser comes through and comes up with a market value that's higher than what it was sell for. If the review board doesn't accept the satisfaction for the taxpayer then has a right to go to the state. I have been through one of those processes. You have to hire an attorney, and it takes 3 to 6 months or longer for that to happen. And if you get 20 or 30 people doing that, you're talking about thousands of dollars, and in my opinion, very unnecessarily spent. Now, in the case that I was involved with, the taxpayer won, the review board lost. But I was ashamed to have to go through that expense and process. We want to pay fair market value, taxes on fair market value, any day.
Thank you. Ralph Beck?
He passes.
Anyone else you want to talk?
Yeah, I just have a question. I haven't made all the meetings, so I'm kind of catching up. But I've got some questions that have come up. I don't know who Mr. Becker is. He's not here. Okay. Is he a one-man band, or does he have assistants?
The assessor? He doesn't have any assistants.
Okay. So has he gone to each property that he has assessed, or has his computer system done it?
He hasn't gone, no. the township assessors did site inspections.
Okay. Okay, I guess part of my question is, if the township assessor, I've worked for a township for 21 years, so I have an idea of what goes on here. When you have a mass assessment and you're going around to all these places, you don't just wing it, you don't just guess. Usually you have an assistant. Somebody's got to be there either to write or to help measure or, you know, to do, there's a lot to it.
Well, the Manton Township assessor does have some assistants.
Okay.
And they were out looking
Well,
for new
I'd be
construction.
curious to know, did they go to every property? I would be really curious to know.
That was my understanding. That's what they were asked to do.
I didn't catch your name, I'm sorry.
My name is Corey Stumeyer,
Corey Stumeyer.
and I'm older than him, so I was Corey first.
How do you spell Corey?
C-O-R-Y.
With all the trouble and complaints we've had at the Board of Review and all the complaints that we've made, I was very shocked that you were willing to reappoint somebody back to that board, especially when several in this room have gone through that process. And I would suggest you watch the video of Rob Perry's Board of Review. I think, to be honest, I walked out of there and thought that thing was a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm being nice. And I just can't believe you wouldn't at least throw us some sort of bone and at least get some new blood on there, but you decided not to do that either. And that's what I'm saying. We've been coming here for a long time, with all due respect, and we feel like we have gotten nothing. And that's why we're at where we're at.
Can I just say a real quick thing? I know, Corey, you said you hadn't seen these, so I'm assuming that.
Well, no, I didn't see them at the time when that happened. I mean, I've seen them,
Okay.
but mine didn't have addresses, just had parcel numbers.
Well, these don't have addresses.
These are case centers.
Yeah, well, this
Okay.
one says, nursing home behind Mr. O house.
Palm Terrace.
Well, that is behind Augie, I can't pronounce his last name,
Right.
but his last name starts with an O. We all know who Augie is. But that's the kind of stuff that was written down to describe some of this property. It's kind of squirrely. I mean, they don't know what they're assessing. Dairy Queen on DeWitt. There's not a Dairy Queen on DeWitt. Now, there was 54 years ago, but there's not in 2016. I find it really unusual. There's a lot. It's just kind of crazy. I don't get it at all. C21. Anybody know what that is?
What's that? Office building, probably, C21.
Who knows? Don't know. Vacant lot, vacant lot, vacant lot.
But the
vacant
numbers
lot,
are there.
vacant lot.
The big numbers are
I'm
there.
just saying that if they're going to do an appraisement, I would figure that they might have a real, some sort of.
A real assessor?
Well, a real assessor, but maybe something that really told you what it was. Of course, obviously, if you had your number, you would know if it was yours or not, but I just found it really like a joke. It was just kind of crazy.
Ralph?
You know, the problem is, the guy you guys hired didn't even look at our stuff. I mean, like I told you, I know you guys are tired of hearing about the $50,000 pole barn. He put 107 on it. I went to the county, to the board review. They thought they did me a favor by lowering it to 70. I go and spend money to have it appraised. Barry makes 50. I go in and talk to them, and they still leave it at 15% above the market value. And when this guy asked me, would you be happy if they come back at the same price? Heck no, I'm not going to be happy because it ain't worth it. Mr. Becker, he knows. I see him, he won't look at me. I mean, every piece of commercial property I've done, he's got me. One appraised for 90 on Lakeland Boulevard, he came in at 217. I go and have it appraised, 103 maybe. I go to the county board, 117. Why ain't I happy? This guy that I hired done it for 40 years.
In the air.
Okay, Corey, well,
I'm still back on my subject. I'm just going through my brain. I'm trying to sort this all out. So the township assessors, each township assessor, they are the ones who went and appraised all the property.
They went and did the site
Mr. Becker
inspection.
did not do any of it other than the computer work, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many employees are in your department?
And 5 in the outer office now, 3 of them are new.
Okay. I guess my question is, why do we hire him when the township assessors are doing the assessment, when all that has to be done is the information needs to be
They're not
entered?
doing the valuations, the assessors aren't, they don't have that software.
Well, I guess my question is, why isn't the people we're hiring, they're
They don't have the
being paid,
software.
why aren't they doing it? I don't work in the department. It's an honest question. And I don't expect an answer. I'm just throwing it out there.
well, township assessors do not give value, they just tell, I'm asking,
They
tell
go
what's
property.
going on with the property.
Turn in a
New
worksheet,
pool, new, and then you value, you
make
guys
a
value.
recommendation if they have one, and then we value it.
So what do we need Mr. Becker hired for if the township assessors are doing the site assessment, the data's coming into your office? Why isn't that the job of your office to plug those numbers in and value the property?
We do.
So what is Mr. Becker's role in all this? Why do we need to hire and spend $115,000 for him to do something that we have salaried people in the county that are supposed to do?
You say that, but.
I'm asking,
No,
that's my question.
here's my question to you is, none of those guys are certified appraisers. So your argument about certified appraisals would, if you
He's
can't
not-
use that argument, then again, she's
So
doing it.
you got no one in the office that's a certified
There's
appraiser?
not one person certified appraiser. You know how to
Well,
appraise
well, why would that be?
No.
But if all
No,
being
no, no.
done is entering,
Mr. Bill.
information into a computer program,
But you're saying that
We got a
he's not
point.
certified. Your point,
that's right.
your point is he's not certified.
John.
If you're letting them to do it, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Did she say that the other day?
Property, he even said in the-
She said she was like.
Mr. Becker has property in the reassessment district in Matthew Township.
Probably for
He
residential.
has it, it's in his bid agreement with the county. He's explicitly, we've got information that says you were supposed to reassess those properties. So who did that if there's no one in the office that's certified to do it?
I did it, I am certified to do it.
You just said that no one in the office was
No one in my
certified.
outer office, no, I have 3 new employees, they haven't even had training yet.
Well, this gets back to my greater point. If you're certified to do it, why are we hiring Bob to do your job? And paying him $115,000?
Depends on how quickly you want it done, if you want it done all at
Well,
once.
it takes 16 years, what's the
So are we gonna hire someone every year for $115,000 to do the job and supervise the assessment?
Once they've all been caught up, we can do it in-house.
So how are you gonna do it once it's all caught up if you can't, if you
Do it
can't?
in-house,
You have to, but you have to do the same amount of properties. So how does it become easier? The number of properties in the county doesn't decrease. You see, something's fishy in Denmark here. This is the problem here. We can't get straight answers, and that's why this thing's gonna wind up in court. I'm sorry.
Okay, straight answer. Anyone else want to speak? Yes, sir.
I'm confused on the employee versus the contractor. Because I've always been told that if you're a contractor, one, you can't work out of the supervisor's office. You also can't have the supervisor's computer or equipment. An employee, like everybody said, does not get a 1099. There's a fine line, and I've been warned very, very several times not to step over that line, because you get into workman's comp and you get into, so I'm really, really confused, because I've heard we got employee, we got contractor, and you can't have both. And I'm the same way. I've been coming to these meetings listening, and we rant and rave and really rant and rave. But, we never hear any feedback as to, what we're doing or how we're going to control this. And I'm the same way. We've got the supervisor of assessment's office. What's their job? Why are we spending $115,000? Why are we spending $1.3 million to fix up an old building on downtown when we got a $700,000 lot that we were supposed to build a brand new building on? But yet we can't spend enough money to do the proper assessment. I just don't understand.
Okay, anyone else?
I'd just like to say, after all that's been presented tonight, is the board going to call some type of a special meeting, discuss this matter, try to resolve it, seek legal counsel wherever they may need it, so they can get this reversed? Are you board members willing to do that?
I said right off the beginning when this started, Mr. Perry, to you, sir, I said, we need to try to help you folks. Since day one, I believe all of us have tried, and I know you're all fired up over it and all that, and I appreciate that. I sincerely do. I know a lot of you. I don't know how many times we can tell you it's out of our hands.
It's not.
They've already told you it's not.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
No,
That's what's wrong. You forgot about the people out here. You're protecting somebody and something. Yes, you have.
No.
Because you can do it. Those boys will tell you. They know.
Mr. Kraft has given us a way to get it resolved.
They know the law though, and they know the statutes, and they know it's available.
Why not
you.
examine it to see if what Mr. Kraft said was right? And if it's right, why not the board do the right thing? Listen, I know a lot of you, and I'm friends with you. I'm not trying to be a pain in your rear end just to be a pain in your rear end. You're asking us to pay. And if you're going to ask us to pay, you got to follow the rules just like we got to follow the rules. So just do what's right. We're not asking you to do anything more. Do what's right for us.
Mr. Donato and Travis mentioned too, when we thought we had a loophole, we were all for it. We were ready to do it.
Did you
Okay,
not hear?
he just said he's not an attorney. I'm not an
The
attorney.
publishing requirements didn't even meet it, and you.
There is no question, that Brian Bauer is going to give us his opinion on this information that was given to us. I'm a solution guy. One of the reasons I haven't spoken up much is because this becomes this firing back and forth. It solves nothing. The night he came with that solution, we immediately went to Brian Bauer.
A bunch of us.
Immediately went to him and said, give us, we want your opinion. He was on vacation. We said, no, we want that. We looked for these solutions.
How about getting an alternative opinion?
You just said
You
we can't
just
have
said
legal
we
counsel.
can't go
Now
outside
you're
of the
telling us to get
attorney.
different legal counsel?
On your
You
own.
can't
have it both ways.
On your own. On your own.
On our own?
On your own. Find out if there is a loophole. You're taking
The
advice.
thing is, after this
The
meeting,
Department of Revenue has legal counseling.
Yeah, last comment,
You can't go to
Mr.
them.
Kraft.
I don't have
Kurt, Howard.
Thank you. There is the authority to hire a special assistant state's attorney. I'm aware of that, and we've done
Yeah,
that.
he has that power to do that if he needs to. He knows the process. Yes, he does.
I can request a judge to appoint a special assistant, and I've done that.
And I think one of a simple, and this may be a simple solution, and it may be one that you're not commonly popular, but in light of things that have not been pursued from a power position, he has a discretionary power to prosecute or not prosecute. He makes that sole decision. If she chooses to roll back to the 15, and that would be a violation for what you've done, it's up to him to prosecute it. The question is, would he prosecute if she did that? Take it for what it's worth. Thank you.
Any other comments? Motion to adjourn. Gagler.
Quick.
Roll call, please.
Go ahead with it.
First himself.
Okay? When you have no idea. Tonight you said back at that.